One of the things that many of us don't appreciate is that all of us are suffering. And oftentimes we get involved with our own suffering, and it prevents us from actually connecting with other people. And in fact, it's this connection that allows us to function at our best, both mentally and physiologically. A transformative event occurred which really changed the trajectory of my life at the age of 12. I walked into a magic shop. I had no guidance or direction, and oftentimes would just take off on my bike, and I went into the shop. And as I walked in, there was a woman. This woman looked up from her glasses. She was reading a paperback book. Well, she actually asked me some quite penetrating questions. And she said, I know nothing about the magic in the store. That's my son's thing. But there is a magic that I know that I think could change your life. Prior to that, I felt like a leaf being blown by an ill wind because I had no certainty about anything. I wasn't sure if we would eat. I wasn't sure if my father would come home. I wasn't sure if I would come home and my mother would have been taken to the hospital because she had attempted suicide. But the first thing she taught me was, number one, that unless you have attention and focus, you can't succeed. And one of the preventers of attention and focus is that emotionally you're wound up, and this winding up of you, or this response to this emotional state, and in my case it was anger, it was hostility, it was a sense of hopelessness, has an effect on your body. So over the period of time, she taught me how to relax my body, and what I used ultimately was a mantra, but she also taught me how to look at a candle, and both of these methods are quite effective. And once I had felt that I had understood that and began practicing it, the next thing that she taught me was something that I call taming the mind. We have a dialogue going on in our head, and for me, and like many people who are suffering, or even just living a regular life but have not been able to manifest how to fulfill their potential, the dialogue that they have going on in their head is not one which is a benefit to them. It is a creation that they accept as equivalent to who they are. And oftentimes it is negative, it is critical, it certainly is not self-affirming, and when that is present, it is hard for you to be present. What many of us don't appreciate is, as a human species, we have the unique ability to have an awareness of a past and a perception of a future. But what that also does is it results in us not being present. And the problem is, when you're in this position, you cannot authentically connect. And these two things which you were fighting also results in you worrying about what is going to happen to you or your future or who you are or if you're good, etc., etc. And as a result, what many of us don't appreciate is this dialogue, this negative dialogue, has an effect on your autonomic nervous system. And it's divided into the sympathetic nervous system and to the parasympathetic nervous system. When you engage in negative dialogue, oftentimes it has an effect by increasing your sympathetic nervous system output. And when that happens, you have this release of hormones that if you were on the savannah in Africa and you see a lion, would allow you to run away and climb up a tree. Your blood flow would be diverted to your skeletal muscle, your pupils would dilate. In modern society, these are engaged on a low level with this type of dialogue. And so your emotional state has a huge impact on this. When you have the chronic release of these types of hormones, cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine, it suppresses your immune system, it increases your blood pressure, it increases your heart rate, and is very, very deleterious to your health in the long term.